Even when the yellow sand covers my face, I will not forget your kindness." When Tripitaka heard these words, he thought they were the truth and immediately asked 8 Rules to loosen the ropes and rescue the child. Not knowing any better either, Idiot was about to act when Pilgrim on one side could not restrain himself any longer. "You brazen thing!" he shouted. "There's someone here who recognizes you. Don't think you can use your humbuggery to hoodwink people. If your possessions were stolen, if your father was killed and your mother taken by thieves, to whom would we entrust you once we rescued you? With what would you thank us? Your fables don't add up." When the fiend heard these words, he became frightened, realizing that the great sage was an able man to be reckoned with. Trembling all over, the fiend spoke as tears flowed down his face. "Master, though my parents are lost and gone, and though the wealth of our family is reduced to nothing, I still have some land and relatives." "What sort of relatives do you have?" asked Pilgrim. The fiend said, "The household of my maternal family lives south of this mountain, while my aunties reside north of the peak. Lee 4 at the head of the brook is the husband of my mother's sister, and Red 3 in the forest is a distant uncle. I have, moreover, several cousins living here and there in the village. If Venerable Master is willing to save me and take me to see these relatives at the village, I shall certainly give them a thorough account of your kindness, and you will be handsomely rewarded when we sell some of our land." When 8 Rules heard what he said, he pushed Pilgrim aside, saying, "Elder brother, this is only a child. Why keep on interrogating him? What he told us was that the thieves had robbed them of their liquid assets. They couldn't take their houses and land, could they? If he will speak to his relatives, we may have huge appetites, but we can't eat up the price of 10 acres of land. Let's cut him down." Idiot, of course, thought only of food. He had no further regard for good or ill, and using the ritual razor, he ripped open the ropes to free the fiend. Facing the Tang monk tearfully, the fiend knelt beneath the horse and kept on kowtowing. A compassionate man, the elder called out, "Child, get up on the horse. I'll take you there." "Oh master," said the fiend, "my hands and feet are numb from the hanging, and my torso hurts. Moreover, I'm a rural person and not used to riding horses." The Tang monk at once asked 8 Rules to carry him, but the fiend, after glancing at Idiot, said, "Master, my skin is frostbitten, and I dare not let myself be carried by this master. He has such a long mouth and large ears, and the hard bristles behind his head can be frightfully prickly. Let Sha monk carry you then," said the Tang monk. After glancing at him also, the fiend said, "Master, when those robbers came to plunder our house, each one of them had his face painted. They wore false beards, and they held knives and staffs. I was terribly frightened by them, and now when I see this master with such a gloomy complexion, I'm even more intimidated. I just don't dare to ask him to carry me." The Tang monk therefore told Pilgrimson to put the fiend on his back. Laughing uproariously, Pilgrim said, "I'll carry him. I'll carry him." Secretly pleased, the fiendish creature gave himself willingly to Pilgrim to carry. When Pilgrim pulled him up from the side of the road to test his weight, he found that the fiend weighed no more than 3 catas and 10 ounces. "You audacious fiend," said Pilgrim, laughing. "You deserve to die today. How dare you pull tricks before Old Monkey? I recognize you to be that something. I'm the offspring of a good family," said the fiend. "And it is my misfortune to face this great ordeal." "What do you mean by that something?" "If you are an offspring of a good family," said Pilgrim, "why are your bones so light?" "They are small," said the fiend. "How old are you now?" said Pilgrim, and the fiend said, "I'm 7 years old." "Even if you put on only 1 caddy of weight per year," said Pilgrim, "you should now weigh 7 catas. How is it that you are not even a full 4 catas? I didn't get enough milk when I was a baby," said the fiend. Pilgrim said, "All right, I'll carry you, but if you want to piss, you must tell me." Tripitaka then walked in front with 8 rules and Sha Monk, while Pilgrim followed behind with the child on his back. As they proceeded toward the west, we have a poem as a testimony, and the poem says, "Though virtue's lofty, demonic blocks are high. Chine promotes stillness, but stillness breeds fiends. Lord of the mind's upright, he takes the middle way. Wood mother's naughty, he walks a wayward path. Horse of the will's silent, nursing want and greed. Yellow dame's wordless, feeling his unease. Guest error succeeds, but his joys are vain. They will, at last, be melted by the right." As the great sage Sun carried the demon on his back, he began to brood over his resentment toward the Tang monk, thinking to himself, "Master truly does not know how difficult it is to traverse this rugged mountain. It's hard enough to do so when you are empty-handed, but he has to ask old monkey to carry someone else, not to mention a fellow who's a monster no less. Even if he were a good man, it would be worthless to carry him along, since he had already lost both parents. To whom would we carry him? I might as well smash him dead." At once the fiendish creature became aware of what Pilgrim was thinking, and he, therefore, resorted to magic. Taking 4 deep breaths from the 4 quarters, he blew them onto the back of Pilgrim, and his bearer immediately felt as if a weight of 1,000 pounds were on him. "My child," said Pilgrim, chuckling. "You are using the heavy body magic to crush your venerable father." When the fiend heard those words, he became afraid that the great sage might harm him. He liberated himself from his corpse, and his primal soul rose into the air and stood there, while the weight on Pilgrim's back grew heavier. Growing angry, the Monkey King grabbed the body on his back and hurled it against some rocks at the side of the road. The body was reduced to a meat patty. Fearing that it would still be resistant, Pilgrim tore off the 4 limbs and smashed them to pieces, also by the road. When the fiend saw clearly what happened in midair, he could not restrain the fire leaping up in his heart, saying to himself, "This monkey monk! How villainous of him! Even if I am a demon plotting to harm your master, I have yet to raise my hand. How could you seek to inflict on me such injury? It's a good thing that I have enough foresight to leave with my spirit. Otherwise, I would have unwittingly lost my life. I might as well make use of this opportunity to seize the Tang monk, for if I delay any further, he might get even smarter. Dear monster!" He at once caused to rise in midair a truly fierce whirlwind, which threw up rocks and kicked up dirt. Marvelous wind! Angrily it whipped up clouds and waters rank. As rising black ether blotted out the sun, all summit trees were pulled out by their roots. Wild plums were wholly leveled with their branches. Yellow sand dimmed the eyes, so men could not walk. Strange rocks battered the road. How could it be smooth? It churned and tossed to darken all the plains, while birds and beasts howled throughout this whole mount. The wind blew until Tripitaka could hardly stay on the horse, until 8 rules refused to look up, and Sha Monk lowered his head and covered his face. Only the great sage Sun knew that it was a wind sent up by the fiend, but when he ran forward to try to catch up with the others, the fiend riding on the head of the wind had already caught hold of the Tang monk and whisked him away. Instantly they vanished without a trace, so that there was no way for the disciples to know even where to look for them. In a little while, the wind began to subside and sunlight appeared once more. Pilgrim walked forward and saw that the white dragon horse was still trembling and neighing uncontrollably. The load of luggage was thrown by the road, 8 rules lay sprawled beneath a ledge moaning, and Sha Monk was making noises while crouching on the slope. 8 rules! Shouted Pilgrim. When Idiot heard the voice of Pilgrim and looked up, the violent wind had calmed. He scrambled up and tugged at Pilgrim, saying, "Oh, elder brother, what a terrific wind!" Sha Monk also came up and said, "Elder brother, this is a whirlwind." Then he asked, "Where's master?" 8 rules said, "The wind was so strong that we all hid our heads and covered our eyes, each trying to find shelter. Master seemed to have put his head down also on the saddle. But where is he now?" asked Pilgrim. "He must have been made of straw." said Sha Monk, and got blown away. Pilgrim said, "Brothers, it's time for us to disband." "Exactly," said 8 Rules. "While there's still time, it's better for each of us to find our own way off. The journey to the Western Heaven is endless and limitless. When will we ever get there?" When Sha Monk heard these words, he was so shocked that his whole body began to turn numb. "Elder brother," he said, "how could you say something like that? Because we committed crimes in our previous lives, we were lucky to be enlightened by the Bodhisattva Guanxin, who touched our heads, gave us the commandments, and changed our names so that we could embrace the Buddhist fruit. We willingly accepted the commission to protect the Tang monk and follow him to the Western Heaven to worship Buddha and acquire scriptures, so that our merits would cancel out our sins. Today we are here and everything seems to come to an end abruptly when you can talk about each of us finding our own way off, for then we would mar the good fruits of the Bodhisattva and destroy our virtuous act. Moreover, we would provoke the scorn of others, saying that we know how to start, but not how to finish." "Brother," said Pilgrim,